Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Pretty simple exercise. Try it one more time. Hello.
Hello.
I just had lunch, lots of carbs. So we're going to see if we can keep this interesting and have a little bit of fun. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. And I can't remember what Molly titled this presentation. It doesn't really matter. Because at the end of the day, I want you to remember a few things. And I'm going to get to those in a moment. But let me give you the background. So many of you know I travel a fair amount. That gives me a lot of window time and a lot of talk radio. Have any of you listened to hours upon hours of talk radio over the last couple of years? How does it make you feel? Like crap. Right? So I started dipping into grumpy old man mode. Man, this world is falling apart. Traffic engineering's falling apart. Transportation planning's falling apart. What can I do? Well, I got a couple of choices. I can sit on my porch, be the grumpy old man, tell you how you ought to do it, or I can do something about it. Since I have all this window time, I thought, maybe I will actually do something about it. And I realized there was nothing that I could do by myself that was going to have a significant impact on the world, much less trying to do something for our own industry. So I thought, well, I'm going to have to ask some professionals, some experts. I need some diverse crowd, right? I need a planner. Oh, that's me. I'm a planner. I have some industry experience in some of the different things. I also need some traffic engineers to give me some feedback on some of these things. It'd be really nice if we had both public and private sector balance. And, maybe a business owner, somebody that's got a little different aspect to what we do. Where do I go? Well, I instantly go to my Mobile friends. And I say to a couple of them, I've got a million problems, and I need somebody to help me fix them. You're going to volunteer. You're going to spend some time, actually a fair amount of time, probably a little bit of travel. I might feed you lunch, possibly dinner. Otherwise, you're not going to get paid. But I need your help. And I instantly had yeses from all three of them. Another good reason why you should get involved in ISITE and Mobile is because of that. And so I said to these folks, what are we going to do? And how are we going to solve these things? And so we met, and originally it was myself and Todd Fitzer and Lonnie Berkland and Janelle Clayton. Most of you know, or many of you know those three. You'll get to see one of them here today with me. And we met over the course of about a year, and we talked about 1,000 different things. All the different things that we thought were problems, particularly within our industry, but in general, safety, transportation-related topics. I said, what can we do about it? And so with a little bit of help from my friends, we talked and boiled it down to a couple of different items. And Todd and I weren't able to join us today, and so Janelle and I recruited somebody who also had a very diverse background and experience, whose opinion that we valued and trusted, and would give us honest feedback on whether or not we were crazy or not. So if you'll please join me in welcoming my dream team, Molly Long and Janelle Clayton. Come on up. And you guys are actually going to have to stand over here because I'm recording this. Because one of the things about trying to do better is to get better, and the way I like to get better is to watch myself on video. Now you've walked too far, Molly. You got to come a little closer. Oh, all right. Well, we'll get Janelle. Molly, you're going to come over video. You'll have to come over here, Molly. One of you. There we go. So then we can see it. We can see it, right? You don't actually need to see me anymore. So, as part of these conversations, we boiled it down to three big topics that we thought were really important to our industry that we need to do better on. One of them was recruiting talent, being passionate about safety, and there were some great things that we saw yesterday and today already about safety and having that passion for that. And then also advocating and promoting for our industry. And so I've asked Janelle and Molly to help me with some of these things and talk through some of the different options that we've come up with. And one of the things is, why are we here? Right? So, Janelle, do you want to maybe figure out why we're here? Why are you here?
Yeah, well, first one I just want to say, it's not just traffic engineers. We have really great people in our industry, from engineers, planners, we have the vendors, the technicians, and the product folks, people. I just love our community. We have great people. And one of the things I like to always kind of learn about people is how they chose this industry. And so I wanted maybe Molly to share her story on how she chose this industry.
Molly, you're gonna have to stand a little.
This is karma, right? Like I twisted everybody else's arm.
Yes, exactly.
This is my karma, right? So I was really I really loved puzzles when I was growing up, and I really loved the challenge of them. And my dad was always exposing me to pretty much everything that he did, and he was a drafter, and he decided to go back to school when I was in elementary school to become a construction engineer, and at the same time, my mom went back to school and got her master's in what's called educational technology, which really meant computers at the time, like it was the Apple II, or maybe IIe, I don't remember. So between the two of them, I got exposed to quite a few things as they were going through college, and my dad was always taking me on his business trips, and my mom was teaching me computer programming, and when I got into high school and college, I realized in traffic engineering, I could do both. I could do my traffic models, which satisfied the computer part, and the engineering, which solved problems. So that's my story.
Excellent. Janelle, should we find out what some other stories are?
Yeah, I would, so I'm gonna ask everybody to stand up. And I'm gonna ask you
Not
some
yet.
questions. Not yet, yeah. I'm gonna ask some questions, and if your answer to this question is yes, I want you to stand up
And stay standing.
and stay standing. Okay. So, first of all, I'm just curious, if you got into this industry because you knew a family member or a friend who was in our industry, a civil engineer and the transport planner, did you have a family member or friend who kind of influenced you? Stand up if that is yes.
It's okay, there's no wrong answers here.
Thank you.
Well, there's a couple wrong answers, but these aren't one.
Okay. And then I want you to stand up if you had a teacher or you took that, aptitude test in high school that said, oh, you should be a civil engineer. So if that was the case, I want you to stand up now.
Stay standing, Mark. Stay standing.
Okay, good. Then if you were told, hey, you're good at math and science, you should be an engineer, I want you to stand up.
I think we should go with transportation professional.
Okay, sorry. Okay, that's right. Yeah, okay. And then if you were specifically recruited, to be in this industry, maybe got some NIL money for it. No? Nobody else? Okay. Well, interesting.
Well, the rest of you stand up as well. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm also surprised, but that's good to know.
Yeah. So now what I want you to do is, I am surprised that not all of you were standing by the end of that. So I want you to turn to your neighbor, take a minute, 30 seconds each, and tell them your story, how you got into engineering.
Or transportation.
Or transportation. How you became a transportation professional.
All right, 5 seconds. How fast? All right, everybody have a seat. Hey, Carrie, whistle. 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 Time's up. All right, everybody can have a seat now.
I didn't know she could do that.
Yeah.
Oh, she did that yesterday.
Oh, she has great talent.
Practice that for next week.
Yeah, okay.
But as we've been hearing, lately, is we need a lot of people. And Janelle, I know this is something that you're very passionate about. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, so we need people, we need good people. I saw an article in the ASCE magazine in 2022, and based on that article, he quoted the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics projects that we need 25,000 new, it was ASCE, so civil engineers, 25,000 new civil engineers each year for this next decade that we're approaching. And at Movite, some of you were there, we heard from the Dean of the College of Engineering there, and he pointed out after that recession in 2008, the population has declined as well. So we're having a population issue, there's not as many people in general. And then we need to be out there recruiting. We need a lot of people. And that's just to replace the people who are retiring. Now, the Infrastructure Jobs Act, you know, they said that they would estimate that we need 883, or it would create 883,600 new jobs just to deliver on those projects from the Infrastructure and Jobs Act. And so, obviously, and that's by the year 2030. So, we need to get more grassroots campaign. We need to be out there recruiting people, because if we're not going to do it, who's going to, no one's going to recruit for us or advocate for us. So we need to be doing that.
So Molly, give me an example of how we can be doing that.
You know, we need to tell our stories. We need to share our experiences. I was asked by my daughter's high school to come and speak. They have 2 engineering classes there, and I went to tell them about what I do every day, but I also went to tell them about my path, how I got there, and how college was. And one of the things that I shared, I think that resonated with them the most, was I told them, calculus was not my friend. Calculus still is not my friend. You know what? I did the best I could. I took my grade, which was a C, and I went on with my life.
C's get degrees.
Right, right. I went on with my life and on to my, my major classes. And after I spoke with them, I had several people come up to me and say, "Thank you for saying that." Like, that was one of their barriers of thinking about going into engineering, was getting through those classes. So, we just need to share everything.
Yeah, so Janelle, what kind of people should we be looking for?
Yeah, obviously we need diversity in our field. Not only more women, but also people from different walks of life. I live in a very affluent school district area in Johnson County, Kansas. Programs are very vast for whatever you're looking for, and all the high schools have engineering programs that you can choose to follow, and they're all the sexy stuff like robotics or aeronautics, and it's not civil engineering. And so these kids aren't getting exposed to civil engineering. And so that was, I guess, I was thinking about, gosh, how are we going to, if we can't even get civil engineering to the areas that have funding for programs, we need people that maybe grew up in transit or in different areas of the world, and we need their valuable input. And so we were doing a project in ISITE Nov, and it was in a not-so-great area of town, but we had a public meeting at a local middle school, and I thought, this is a great opportunity to go back to that middle school with our project and talk it to a class and just say, hey, we're transportation professionals, this is what we do. Just expose them to it, just simple.
Yeah, I think that's a great example. And Molly, maybe we should see if anybody else has done any of this.
Yeah, so another unscientific poll. If you have contributed to a presentation or had a discussion with a group of high school students within the last year about your profession, raise your hand. Thank you.
That's very
Thank
good.
you. Yeah. Second thing, if you have had discussions with any youngsters in the past month about our profession, please raise your hand.
Very nice.
Nice.
So
I remember.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I remember when I told my kids that there was a computer in the traffic signal cabinet running the traffic signal controller, and they were like mind blown. Yeah.
And Janelle, you have some good examples of how you think we should be talking, or who we should be talking to as a woman business owner, and how we should be promoting what we do in terms of like how we talk to girls.
Right. No, and I think if anybody carpools their kids around with other kids in the car, I think it's important that we just say, hey, like Molly said, point out the traffic signal stuff, or just say, hey, do you know those dash lines on the road are 10 foot long, or ask them how long they think they are, and they're always like 2 or 3 feet, and their minds are always blown. They're like 10 feet. Little stuff like that, but for me, with the girl thing, as I noticed as a mom of a girl and a boy and how they grew up, the boys are encouraged to take risks and be the go-getters, and the girls are always praised on their looks or something. Oh, you look so cute. But what I want you to think about, if you have young girls around and you hear them talking, and point out to them like, oh, I just heard you solve this problem. That is amazing. You would be a good engineer or transportation professional. Like, tell them that their problem-solving skills are good. We're not all dork pocket protector people. I mean, we have really cool people in our industry. So just make them aware that they should consider that as an option.
Yeah, thanks, Janelle. So I want to keep moving a little bit because we have some time. I promise we'll try to get back on schedule and keep on time. There we go. So I want to talk about item number 2, which is passion for safety. And you might be wondering, why do we have an airplane up here? Well, obviously it's transportation, right? Does anybody know what kind of airplane that is?
737.
Boeing 737, exactly. It's a Boeing 737 MAX. Pretty typical plane, you see them all the time. Carries about 200 people. Imagine if 4 of these crashed every week throughout the year. Because that's what's happening on the roadways. 41,000 people was the number last year, just 10 shy of that is the actual number, which equates to about 4 Boeing 737 MAXs crashing a week. So think about the airline industry and what their reaction would be if they had 4 planes going down every week. Why don't we have the same reaction? So think about that. What can we be doing each day to address that and put the urgency back into, so we're focusing on safety in everything that we do? And this is a personal thing for me. I think it is for all of us. But I got the call, it was right after Movite, after doing this presentation down in Movite. 10 o'clock on a Friday night, I get the call about that car and my 17-year-old son. The one nobody wants to get. Anybody else have teenage drivers? Right? Terrifying, scary, horrifying. Now, this crash, he hit a 10-inch tree, had nothing to do with traffic engineering. There was nothing that we could have done as an industry that would have prevented this crash. It was medical, so it was a completely different type of a thing. But it brings it home really sharply when you get that phone call. But one of the things I also want to point out is, when you look at this car, look at the engineering and what protected him. Because my 17-year-old son, who hit a 10-inch tree, had scratches on his knuckles. And that was the worst thing that happened to him. Airbags deployed, he was wearing a seatbelt. And if you saw this car in the daylight, you could literally see all of the engineering and the energy deflection and the crumple zones and all the really cool things that are built into those safety mechanisms of that vehicle. It's really remarkable. And we need to deliver that level of passion with what we do, as the airline industry does with what they do, as the automobile manufacturers do what they do. Because it truly saves lives, and what you do each day saves lives. And again, fortunately, it scrapes on his knuckles from the airbag deployment. But that's the absolute worst thing that you can get as a call as a parent. So as part of this, Molly, we've talked about the Vision Zero. That came up yesterday. It's come up today. Corey?
Yep. I mean, Corey did a great job presenting on the Des Moines Vision Zero plan. And, you know, one of the things he mentioned was, as a city entity, we're not necessarily getting the funding that we need to implement that entire plan. The city has lots of priorities. We understand that. We keep asking every year, and we will continue to ask every year. But in the meantime, like, how do we go forward with this Vision Zero plan? How do we make it happen? You know, we're already incorporating what we can into the planning and engineering that we're doing at the city. But, you know, to Doug's son's car crash, there's more than just engineering that's going to make us get to zero. It's going to be the car manufacturers. It's going to be the police that help us enforce some of the things that we're doing. It's going to be the IT people that are helping us maintain some of these new technologies that we have to do this. It's going to be NHTSA. Like, this is great. It's protecting the occupant. But now how do we protect the vulnerable road user from the really tall vehicles and the really heavy vehicles that are on the road now? And I think partnership between all of these entities, that's going to be the key, especially when you don't have the funding. But that has to be the key. Oh, and I forgot, lobbyists. There's so many laws on the books. There's so many people that don't understand why we do what we do. We need to engage the lobbyists to help get those laws changed, passed, to allow us to do our job better.
Thank you, Janelle. I know you were going to do another poll, but it's very time. We kind of skipped through that again. And kind of jump to the third item, which is promote what we do. Do people even know what we do? Do they know how hard you work? And into my opening statements about how, a lot of times we are under attack. as an industry. And I know whenever I tell somebody what I do, and they know I have something to do with traffic signals, they never say, wow, I love all the green lights I get. I haven't once said that. So I always make the joke, right? We don't sell red lights, we only sell green lights, because green lights make people happy. We give the yellow and the red ones away at no charge because they make everybody angry. But a lot of times we are being attacked. And how can we advocate and promote what we do and how we do it? And Janelle, I know this is something that you do a lot of work with. Oh, sorry, it's wrong buttons. In terms of what your job is, and I know we get into a lot of public meetings.
Yeah.
And how do we advocate what we do and how do we tell that message?
Now, public meetings are probably my least favorite part of the job. I don't know if anyone, like I have to go and defend traffic studies in front of, city councils or planning commissions or, traffic calming ideas for residents and neighborhoods. Any of this stuff, you get a ton of questions and everyone wants to argue you everything. So I think the most important thing is be an expert, know your facts. And not only that, but also you've got to frame it in a way that the non-technical person can understand. Because if you can make it personal to them and frame it in a way that they understand why you're doing what you're doing, that goes a long way. And I feel like I'm constantly defending myself and my education and my experience because everyone is a traffic engineer and likes to, get to do their ideas on things.
Yeah, so in addition to telling the, the way that they can understand it, I'm sure everybody would love to see the heat maps of the highway capacity manual. I can understand that. But what else can we promote the things that we do well?
Yeah, so, one of my favorite projects that I have worked on in my past career is we took University Avenue in Cedar Falls, and it was a 6-lane, it used to be a highway. The highway got moved south of town, frontage roads, no pedestrian facilities, several pedestrian fatalities, and it was just kind of the corridor was dying, businesses were moving out. There was a lot of public education that went into this, but we ended up putting roundabouts along this corridor. We changed it because of the roundabouts. We were able to go to 4 lanes instead of 6. We added the pedestrian facilities, the bike facilities. We did some access management. And the corridor today, when you go out there, and this is the piece I think we need to tell. But when you go out there today and look at this corridor, it is vibrant. There are people using it. The cars are going slow. There's bicyclists. And on the other side, the economic impact of this project, there were 19 businesses in the first mile of this project that either were new or made updates to their property to make it look nice. And that is a huge impact. That's something people understand.
That's a great example, and it's something that we don't promote well, but you really do have an impact when you do these types of projects, when you do these things that, whether it's economic development or safety or whatever it might be. Oh, wow. Really did a number on it this time. Yeah, sorry, we're going to do this again.
Just to make sure you
There we go.
Yeah.
So, because we are getting pretty close to the time, I want to kind of wrap this up a little bit. I'm going to ask, if the two of you have something that you want to talk about, Janelle, in terms of bringing it home on these 3 topics.
Yeah, just kind of keep these 3 topics in the back of your mind day to day. Recruiting talent, be passionate about safety when you're talking to people, and always advocating and promoting for our industry. And we kind of came up with just a list, because we were thinking nobody has time probably, or it seems daunting to take on a big task. So we kind of brainstormed some quick 10 things that you guys can think about, and pick 1 or 2 of these, right? So one thing you can do is stay positive. When you come home from work, what's your message about your job when your kids are listening? Are they hearing you complain about getting beat up at a public meeting? Are they hearing you complain about unrealistic deadlines? And that's fine to be honest about that stuff, but then frame it, say something positive about, I just love changing the world for people or helping people or making it safer. So that's something you can do. Just as simple as when you put your seatbelt on and you're driving your kids somewhere, tell them why it's important to wear your seatbelt and how that makes a difference with fatality crashes. Just little things you can do.
Yeah, and just telling the story is also important. Molly, that was a perfect example. So should we do all 10 of these things, Molly?
No, just do 1 every day. Apparently that's from City Slickers. No plan. I'm supposed to say a quote, I don't know what it means, so do just one thing.
So thanks, and I appreciate Molly and Janelle helping me out on this. But if you think about it, if I do one thing, and Molly does one thing, and Janelle does one thing, that's how many things? Right? But if we convince you to each do one thing, now we've just multiplied ourselves. And if you each convince somebody else in the profession that you know to do one different thing, one new thing, something that you can have an impact on, now it starts to really compound. And we can really move the needle on some of these issues. Now, these were 3 topics that we hit on. As I mentioned, we had hundreds of them that we first started talking about. We just wanted to share a couple of them that we really dove into to get your feedback and input on, and hopefully your action on to move forward. Because if we start compounding each other on these efforts, we truly are unstoppable. And really look forward to what we can accomplish, not just on those 3 items that we came up with, but whatever it is that you come up with, whatever's important to you within our industry. And so we wanted to make sure that you didn't forget about us. And so we created some stickers.
I'm sorry about this.
I love this. We have stickers for most of you. I didn't make enough. I didn't think we were going to have such a great crowd. So these are collector's editions now. Stickers. Put it on your water bottle. Put it on your computer. Put it on your wall. Not
the
because...
people I work with.
Definitely the City of Des Moines people, and every time you have a meeting with the City of Des Moines, make sure this is on the front of your portfolio. Just as a reminder, to do one thing differently, do one thing just a little bit better, be part of the unstoppable, and help us move that needle as we go forward on safety, recruiting, advocating, and then whatever's important to you, because I do believe that we are unstoppable if we all put the effort into it. With that, please join me in thanking Molly and Janelle for helping me on this part. Almost.
I get a lot of stickers.
Almost got a whole bunch of stickers.
Any questions?
Thanks, Rob.
We got a couple minutes for questions if anybody wants to throw one out.
Or comments?
Comments, or yeah, just dialogue.
I have a question, more of, it's gonna be opinion based. How do you think you could also get others involved in this as well? Obviously, I'm understanding the key issues and being passionate about it, but, obviously, you know, Doug and yourselves are, you know, respected and like have a very, it's kind of like a self-help situation, but how do you get that to upper management or people who think that they are traffic engineers and can make decisions, whether they're in the public or they're other departments? I'm specifically with the city entity. How do you think that go? Is it like, oh yeah, we got to stay positive, or is it like actively putting change into traffic calming elements and just never giving up? But that burnout is tough.
It's hard when
Yeah.
people are constantly criticizing you, or like they read the HWA website and they have something better that's going to work, and you didn't. Yeah, I think you just have to maintain that. I won't say a facade, but you're the expert, and I think you just kind of have to keep. I don't know if you have any
Well,
advice.